Good morning and welcome to St Mary's and St Peter's Church in Barham in Suffolk. Now today we are here to visit the final resting place of a young lady who sadly had her life taken from her at the hands of another. Now this was a completely awful crime. A crime that wasn't actually witnessed by anybody, but the suspect, or the possible suspect, was. Now we are here today to visit the final resting place of Karen Hales. Yeah, Karen Hales, she lived in her own little home with her partner, perfect little life. And for reasons unknown even to today, she was murdered. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll spin you around and I'll take a little wander around this damp, miserable little churchyard while I tell you a little bit about Karen Hales.
Karen Hales was born on the 24th of June 1972. She was raised living with her mother Geraldine and her father Graham, and also her two sisters Jackie and Angela in Barham, Ipswich. She was described as a very popular girl with a bubbly and outgoing personality. She met the love of her life in secondary school, Peter Ruffles. The two immediately became inseparable. By the end of 1991, Karen discovered that she was pregnant, and in April 1992 she gave birth to her daughter Emily. Peter gained employment as a mechanic at his local bus depot while Karen worked part-time at Boots Pharmacist. They joined the property ladder with a starter home on Lavenham Road in Ipswich, which was close to her parents who could then spend some quality time with their granddaughter. They were an ordinary young couple leading an ordinary life, that is until Sunday the 21st of November 1993. Peter left home at around 3:50 p.m. for a late shift at the Constantine Road bus depot in Ipswich town centre, leaving Karen and their daughter home alone. At around 4:30 p.m, by which time it was dark, two local men were taking a shortcut into Lavenham Road from London Road through an alleyway when they saw a man walking towards them. One of the men said that they were going to ask the man for the time, but said they didn't get the chance as he was walking so fast. The man said that all he remembered about him was that he was wearing a hooded parka jacket with grey fur around the hood. The man was then seen to walk out into London Road, where he was seen by a couple as they were driving home. They said that they saw him in the central reservation near a pedestrian crossing, and said that as they got closer to him he made a dash for it. They said that he appeared to be in an agitated state before he dashed out into the road in front of them. They also noted that the man had been wearing a dark parka coat with a grey trim. The woman in the car described the man as having a slim build with short dark hair and being 20 to 25 years of age. After the two local men had seen the man in the parka jacket, they walked down Lavenham Road passing the home of Karen Hales. One of them stated that he thought he saw smoke coming from it to his friend, but his friend said it was condensation and they continued on their way. Shortly after, at around 4:40 p.m, a woman who lived locally was walking a dog around 400 yards from Karen's house. She said that she saw a man acting strangely as if he was up to no good. She described him as being between 20 to 30 years old, wearing a blue-grey parka with a hood. It was noted that the various sightings of the person in the parka coat may have been different people. Either way, the man was never traced. At around the same time that the woman walking a dog saw the man acting strangely, Karen Hales' parents arrived on Lavenham Road in their car. When they got to her house and knocked at the door, they found that her front door was open, which they said was unusual. When they pushed the door open, they found the house to be full of smoke. Then they noticed Karen. She had been stabbed several times and then set on fire. Karen's daughter, Emily, was found nearby in the same room but had not been harmed. The police said that they did not know the motive, but noted that Karen Hales was a kind, caring person with no enemies, and that some items were missing from her property, and as such could not rule out the possibility that it had been a burglary. It was noted that a couple of knives were missing from the kitchen. They were branded laser knives with wooden handles used for general cooking and eating purposes. The police said that Karen Hales had been killed with the two knives. Much of the DNA evidence was destroyed in the fire, but police later recovered a small amount of vomit from Karen's body, with which they were able to reveal a partial DNA profile. The police said that Karen had probably opened the door to her killer, and it is very likely that he was known to her. A detective chief inspector said, "I believe that there is a very real likelihood that Karen knew the person responsible." There was no sign of forced entry to the house. There was heavy snow on the ground, but there were no footprints leaving the rear of the property. Two kitchen knives were found to be missing from the house. These could well have been used to kill Karen, but they have never been found. Also, Karen's purse containing a small amount of money was missing. The motive for Karen's murder is unclear, but it is likely someone close to the killer, a friend or relative, may have noticed unusual behaviour after the event. Psychologists later said that Karen Hales possibly knew her killer and had invited him into her home. He may have been an acquaintance from work or someone otherwise known in her personal life. A criminal profile of Karen Hales' killer was made up in November 1997, which stated that he was probably known to Karen, was in his late 20s to mid-30s, who either lived or worked locally, and who was of average intelligence. The profile also suggested that he was probably subject to sudden rages when faced with stress, or even minor irritations, and who suffered serious mood swings that they said might have resulted in problems with colleagues at work. It was also said that her killer might have had mental health issues. It was thought that her murder might have been motivated by anger, and that the scene of the crime was consistent with a sudden assault because the murder weapon had been taken from the kitchen and the fire had been started with materials found in her home. Two men were arrested and interviewed, but both were later released without charge. Sadly, there is no happy ending to this case, as although the police took over 600 statements and offered a £50,000 reward, nobody has ever been charged or convicted of this crime. Karen Hales was laid to rest at St Mary and St Peter Church in Barham, Suffolk, which is where we are today.
Well, that's the story of Karen Hales. Very horrible way to die. And these people just have got no morals whatsoever. I mean, as if stabbing them to death isn't bad enough, but then setting fire to the body and the parents finding the body. What an awful thing. Anyway, her final resting place is just up here to my left, so I'll spin you around and we'll go and have a look at it together. Right, it's just over here. This one wasn't too difficult to find because it's only a small churchyard, and also it's the only one in here this shape, so it's quite an easy one to find. And here it is. Always in our thoughts, unlawfully killed Karen J. Hales, beloved daughter, devoted mother to Emily, June 1972 to November 1993. Just move this briefly out of the way. Sad are the hearts that love you, silent are the tears that fall. Living our lives without you is the hardest part of all. That is the final resting place of Karen Hales. Now, visiting all graves is a sad thing, but visiting the graves of murdered young people is probably the hardest thing that we do when we make these videos. Also, finding information about them, because when a killer is convicted, all that you get on the internet is stuff about the killer, nothing ever about the victim. So you have to scrape around trying to find information and stitch the story together yourself. unfortunately her killer has never been caught. So if anyone does remember anything about this case and they might be able to help, then phone Suffolk police. This man needs to be caught. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content, then maybe consider subscribing. It's absolutely free. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, that's me, Darren, from Suffolk. I will see you on the next one. So bye for now.